Hey Zips fans, welcome to another edition of ZipsCast, episode number 4. Here with my assistant Spencer German from the Zips Digital Network, volleyball's Alexis Adlita, Nate Stewart from football, and our special guest today, who just wrapped up her senior season for the women's basketball team from Westfield, Indiana, Haley Rano. And first of all, we'll just go around the room. How's everybody doing? Hope everyone's still staying safe. We've had some beautiful weather so far.
I'm doing pretty well. I mean, nothing really has changed for me, just the same old routine stuff. The weather in Cincinnati has not been the greatest lately. It's been actually pretty cold, so haven't been able to be outside as much with the kind of things. But indoor workouts in the living room are fun too.
Um, yeah, everything's much the same for me here too. Just trying to, get by the days as easy as we can, and just not be as bored the day before.
I've been doing pretty good. It's boring, but we've been kind of keeping busy. I just been painting and working out, doing schoolwork.
Turn it over to Spencer and let him get our show started.
Yeah, as always, good to see you guys, and we're excited, obviously, to have Haley on board. We'll start there with Haley. Why don't you take just a minute or so, introduce us or introduce Zips fans really to yourself. Tell us about, your time at Akron, and just what maybe your start in getting started in basketball, whatever sort of comes to mind for you. But just introduce yourself to Zips Nation.
Okay, so like Chad said, my name's Haley Rynell, and I'm from Westfield, Indiana. Um, I'm a 3-year captain of the women's basketball team. As Chad said, also, I'm a senior, so I'm done. But I've had a fantastic 4 years here. Kind of sucks about the ending, but I've had a really good time. I love my team. I love getting to see everyone excel these next couple of years because we're going to have a good team coming up. I'm proud of the young kids. Uh, I would say I got recruited by Akron like sophomore year of high school, and I visited here and I liked it. And one of my big things during the recruiting process was the people and how I felt around the people at Akron, and that just filled that perfectly. All the other colleges I went to, I didn't like click with the people like I did here, and I made the choice my end of my junior year to come to Akron, and it's been one of my favorite choices I've made in my life.
Obviously, Haley, as you sort of mentioned and Chad obviously alluded to, you were able to finish your senior season, have your senior night, get sort of a nice send off in that regard. But just how are you sort of dealing with having your senior year cut short? Because I know, like, even from my perspective, going when I graduated college, like senior year was always supposed to be like the best year. You're finishing things out, your last time with your friends. So even though you got your basketball season in, which was obviously great, you sort of lose those last couple months that I'm sure you were looking forward to sort of enjoying yourself. So how have you sort of coped with that and dealt with that, even though you did get that season in, but you still had that sort of loss, if you will?
Uh, it definitely like sucks to realize that the last like 2 or 3 months of my senior year is kind of gone away. I had a whole bunch of trips planned. I was going to Miami, Mexico, then I was going to go to Miami again, and I also was going to go to Vegas, and all of those got canceled because this was like the first time that I could travel because I wasn't in postseason training. So I just was like ready to go everywhere because we're always tied down because we go postseason, then we only get about 2-3 weeks off, and then we come back for both summer sessions. So I was really ready to travel, really ready to be with my friends. I know the 4 other seniors, they're like missing out during this time as well. I was supposed to be with them. We were supposed to go and spend time together and enjoy our last couple months of college, but it's okay though.
Yeah, so I think what was your probably like initial reaction? Where was the basketball team when you guys all found out that everything was, kind of being cut short and all that? Were you in practice, or where was the basketball team kind of standing? Were you guys still in training or lifting, or I just want to know more about like the initial reaction.
Well, we had lost that Monday. We lost in the MAC tournament Monday night, and Tuesday at 5 o'clock is when the university shut down. And on Tuesday, I heard that Kent shut down, and I was like, oh, like that's not good. Like it probably Akron's going to be next. Akron happened, and we all found out that like we can't use the gym. Like a week later, the facilities started shutting down, and they shut down the gym and all that. And we were all like, oh my gosh, there's like actually like nowhere to train. So I actually went back to Indiana for about 2 weeks to be able to like play outside and play on the basketball hoops that I had there. But then they started shutting down. So now I just came back because it's the difference. Everything's shut down.
So in being shut down, what kind of things are you doing to stay active at home?
Well, I have some bands and a yoga mat, and I'm actually coming off of a back injury that I was playing through the last almost month of season. So I took a good week and a half, 2 weeks off after season, which is when everything was getting shut down. So training wasn't that like prominent during that time. But now, past like week or so, I've picked it up. I have yoga mat and bands, and I've just been going in. I'm excited to be able to run again. I'm cleared to run in about 2 weeks. So once I can run, that'll make it a lot easier. But I've just been doing rehab and band work, but definitely getting a sweat in.
Yeah, that brings me to a good point, Haley. Not a lot of people know that you had some back issues towards that last month of the season, but you persevered, you fought through. Your team motto was elevate. With the injury that you were playing with, like to set that example for the next group of women's basketball players, just share with me kind of what was going on with you from the mental standpoint, and then how you were able to battle through multiple games with that injury.
Well, at the time that I got hurt, we were playing a game every 3 days. So the most rest time I would get would be actually 3 days. And once I got hurt in the Buffalo game away at their place. Once I got hurt and they realized like the extent of my injuries, I got shut down from practice. I did like all walkthrough stuff, which was really hard for me because like I like to practice things like perfectly before the game, like be able to go full speed and stuff, and not being able to do that kind of like sucked, especially just because it was in MAC play and we were getting close to MAC tournament and the stakes were real high. So having to like sit down and slow myself down so I was able to play through those games. And yeah, there were a couple games that I was hurting, but the last like couple games I started to get better, got some treatment and stuff like that.
So kind of going back to the whole coronavirus, everything ended. Did that have an effect on your postgraduate plans? I mean, I don't really know like your plans after. I know since you're done with season and everything and graduation. So did this have an effect on anything that you were planning doing on later?
So after I get healed up from this back injury, I'm actually starting to train to go try to play professional basketball overseas. And I've actually got a couple contacts over there, and it's a really high probability that I'm going to get the chance to go over there, which is awesome. But the other problem is with this coronavirus, I don't know, because people from the U.S. like can't even get into other countries and all that. And I'm supposed to leave in September to go train. And of course, where I'm going is Spain, most likely. So that's really bad over there too. So I've kind of had to like make sure that if they cancel their leagues this year, that I have another job lined up, because then I would just like not have an income. So I need to make sure that I'm able to kind of do both. So I've just been preparing myself for both situations, whether it happens or not, but really praying on the basketball situation and this stuff can get cleared up.
As you obviously train for the next part of your career, playing professionally overseas, like you said, just as you reflect back on your Akron career, what was maybe a favorite memory or moment? I would say, if you want to do one off the court too, but at least on the court in a game that comes to mind for you.
Definitely, I would say beating BG at their place, because just that was a total team effort and it was awesome to see that. And along with going into Buffalo and beating them, 4 years I've been here, we have never beat Buffalo at their place, and us being able to play in that atmosphere, Buffalo like really packs their gym. It's a big arena to play in, along with Toledo, and it's just awesome to get wins in those situations. But I don't know. I have Probably my funniest on-court memory was like my sophomore year. I got in and I was super excited because I'm a sophomore, and I like scored a couple buckets in a row, so I was hype. And then I got taken out of the game, and I like high-fived the ref, and I didn't even know. Like he had his hand down, like letting the sub in, and I like just got off the court and high-fived him, like I was hype.
I guess one last thing I was going to ask is, you mentioned, being a captain for as long as you were and an important part of the team. And obviously there's different types of leaders, but you were by far one of those just vocal, in your face, not afraid to say what needs to be said leaders for your team. Just how much pride did you take in that role and being sort of that mouthpiece, especially out on the floor in games?
So I got my captainship when I was a sophomore, and it was something that my coach gave to me, and I was just like, I wasn't sure if I was ready for it or not, but she was like, you're ready, you're a vocal leader, you're ready to lead this team. But that put me in a position where I was leading juniors and seniors who were a couple years older than me, and just making sure that my voice got heard from then into junior year. Junior year is really when I was like, wow, this is like my team. This is our team. We're going to be in this together. I want respect from everyone I'm talking to. I want people to feel respected when I'm saying something to them. So I felt like even the quiet leaders on our team, I felt like they were able to come to me, and then I could say what needed to be said, even if it was just like a thought of one of my teammates. And I feel like that's like part of being a vocal leader instead of being a quiet leader, is making sure that you are able to speak for other people. Like some of the things that I was saying on the court weren't necessarily in my head. It might have been Shayna whispering in my ear being, hey, we need to do this, we need to do this. Can you tell the team? All right, like I can tell the team. I can make sure enforce that, because honestly, I'm not the smartest basketball player out there, but with my other seniors behind me and being able to use my voice, it just, I mean, I'm sure from the outside looking in, making sure that it looks like I'm a leader, but I just take pride in knowing and having relationships with every single person, so the whole culture of the team can get brought to light through a voice.
Yeah, I can promise you, everyone definitely knew and could hear that you were a leader on the court. So it was always a pleasure to hear you yelling, getting everybody, whether it was pumped up before the game or out on the court, making sure people were in the right place. So it was always a cool dynamic that you definitely brought as a leader to the team. So this feels like a good place to maybe shift to our second segment, where we like to sort of do something fun, ask some fun questions. So this is sort of open for both you guys. If Nate ends up jumping back in, obviously Nate can answer as well. But obviously, Alexis, you played volleyball. Haley, you played basketball. But if you could have played any other sport in college, what sport would it have been and why?
Yeah, so I think for me personally, if I were to play another sport, it would have been soccer, because I played soccer ever since I was 4, and as soon as I got to the high school level, soccer and volleyball were the same season, so I had to choose. And I think that my heart was just way more in volleyball than it was soccer, because I hate running, first of all. Like, if you know me at all, I'm just, like, not about it. So that was a huge factor, too. But I just really found a love for volleyball. And a lot of my friends always played volleyball, so we were always going through it together. I started playing club volleyball when I was 13, and then played club soccer and volleyball at the same time, and that was just too much because obviously, like I said earlier, it was the same season. So I had to eventually choose, and then I just kind of went with what I chose. But I think soccer would have been interesting for me, especially because I used to get some letters for recruitment back like in early high school, but then I just kind of knew I was like, I'm going with volleyball.
Nate, if you haven't caught on, I know you're gone there for a sec. We're moving on to sort of the second segment. So I just asked everybody, if you could have played any other sport in college, what would it have been and why?
Basketball.
Why basketball?
I've always loved basketball. It's my second sport, I would say. Like, I played football and basketball through high school, even in Little League. I actually took basketball at one point. It was more serious to me than football. When I was younger, I was like 7th, 8th grade-ish kind of situation. Basketball was more important to me at that time. And I don't know, something about basketball. I love basketball. I've always loved basketball. And yeah, it's really fun to me. I just love playing basketball.
So how much are you allowed to play at the rec, being that you're a football player?
Okay. I go when it was open, this is about the time where I would go every weekend. Okay, so technically Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm at the rec. Every week.
Are you one of those kids that could dunk in high school?
Yes, I was able to dunk in 8th grade.
Ah, there you go. Haley, what about you? What other sport would you have played? I kind of, when I was thinking of this question, I kind of laughed because I remember we did one of those like junior reporter videos with you, and you talked about how you were like not really athletic in high school. You thought there was no way you were ever going to play a sport in college, and then you sort of grew into your body and were good at basketball. So I'm interested to hear if there was any other sport that you would have wanted to play in college.
I would have ran track in college, I guess, if I got the chance to do another one. That'd be pretty hard. But I did run track in high school and I liked it. But the sole purpose behind me running track was to make me a better basketball player. And then like in middle school, I played I would say I played like everything. At one point I was playing boys lacrosse, I played volleyball, soccer, all that, but definitely was in love with basketball and have always been a basketball girl at heart.
Lex, I know you said you were getting some recruiting looks for soccer as well, right?
Yeah, so I started soccer. They always did it really early because I know a lot of my friends started super early. So those who played soccer, but I never really like looked into it that much. It was just a few like letters and emails that they would send my club soccer coach and stuff. But I kind of knew by the time I played volleyball my freshman year of high school, I was like, okay, this is what I want to do because I kind of had a passion for it. Kind of like Haley said, I knew I was meant to play volleyball. So,
Nate, did you get recruited at all for basketball?
When I was in high school, I went to like a bunch of like camps, so like it was like AAU stuff, and then I had like USA basketball situations and stuff like that. So like basketball was really like it was huge for me going out of high school. But yeah, once I started to get really serious about football, I think my junior year is when like football really like became like my focal point, my passion.
So in regards to the sport that you're playing or the sport that you would have played, the question I'm going to put you on the spot is, who did you look up to from the celebrity side of that sport? Be like, I want to emulate their game, or I like their passion for the game, and I'm going to try to have the same type of passion.
For the sport we play, or the one that
you could do both. You could do both.
Okay. So for basketball, my favorite player growing up was always Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade and LeBron were my two favorite players. Football, I got a lot. Right now, I think my favorite receiver in the NFL right now is DeAndre Hopkins. My favorite receiver.
yeah, I think for me, from a soccer point, I was always really into Mia Hamm. I know she's kind of like on the older side now, but back when I was younger, she was a really big player, and I looked up to her a lot. But from a volleyball standpoint, there's not really many like professional volleyball or anything like that. But I had one girl who went to my high school and continued to play her volleyball career at Purdue, and her name was Ashley Evans, and I just really looked up to her in so many ways. From school volleyball, she just had the best work ethic of all time, so I just really admired that for her, and I kind of saw her go through the recruiting process and then saw her, have a really great career at Purdue because she was a couple years older than me, so I kind of just aspired to be like her.
So when I was a little girl, I definitely looked up to Skylar Diggins because I watched her play through high school, watched her go to Notre Dame, and then into the WNBA. And it was just like a really cool transition to watch. And I also played on her first AAU team that her and her dad put together. It's called Sky Diggs Elite. I got to meet her a couple times, got to meet her dad a lot. So that was someone who I just idolized when I was little. I'm going to kind of take Alexis's idea here, but I definitely looked up to Hannah Plyben these past couple years, and I put my locker right next to her. First day freshman year, I knew that she was the captain. I knew that she was the best player on the team, and I wanted to be just like her. And she taught me so much within that year, just about leadership and what college basketball is all about. So I appreciate that. But now I'm a big fan of Elena Deldone. She's someone who I look to for playing style and stuff like that.
All this talk of, other sports that you guys maybe would have played or other sports that you guys enjoy kind of got me thinking about just how much athletes support athletes at Akron and how much you guys try to get out and support your friends within the athletic community at the University of Akron. So I guess how often are you guys able, I know especially for Haley, like with basketball season, it's a very long season, so it's hard to get out and do other stuff sometimes when you're at practice and then schoolwork and yada, 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 but how often are you guys able to get to some of these other events on campus and support some of the other teams, support your friends, and then maybe what's one sport that you think you've been able to attend the most during your time at Akron so far?
I try as much as possible to go to any and as many sporting events as I can. I think the sports I've gone to the most would be the soccer games, because I really like soccer too, and the basketball games, men and women. I've worked the men's and women's games, as you guys know, yeah, I think track. I've worked the track before. I've been to 2 volleyball games since I've been here. I probably should go to more, but yeah.
I think you're gonna have to now that you're on team.
It's hard
ZipsCast.
because I feel like volleyball is right around football season ish kind of.
It is. It's right in the middle of it. So
yeah, so
they
it's
play Friday, Saturday, and you guys play Saturday. So
right,
I think
so
Lex might be able to give you a pass on that one.
Right. I go to the jar, for academic meetings, and I see them practicing and the stuff like that. But no, I do try to go to as much games as I can because, it's you want to see the stands filled when I'm playing. So I feel that, anybody will want that for themselves too. So I try to support as many people as I can. And even if I don't know them personally, I try to, just be there, I guess.
I think for us, our team likes to go to a lot of sporting events together. I'd say probably the most we go to is probably men's and women's basketball. We love the women's basketball team. They're we're just super close with them. Every time we see them, we're just like, oh, hey, what's up? Because we always see them in the training room and stuff. So love them. As far as fall goes, like Nate said, it's kind of hard. I like to go to football games and stuff too, but it's always right around the same time. So I think we only got to go to maybe 2 or 3 of them for a little bit. But other than that, I know men and women's soccer sometimes play during the weekdays. So we will sometimes go after practice if we have time or if it works in our schedules. I think I've been to at least one event since I've been to Akron of every sport, except maybe rifle. So I think that's pretty good. Maybe I'll work on that rifle thing. So
I've been to a rifle tournament before. It was here. It was the one and only one I've been to. I don't know what they were doing, but I was there.
Yeah, I need to work on that one.
Everything's just boarded up. I remember that. That was what it was.
I definitely try to go to all of them. I'm a big Zips fan, 100%. I have watched every single football game since freshman year, unless it interfered with basketball. I've watched every single men's basketball game, unless it interfered with basketball. We go to the volleyball games all the time. We bring recruits there. One time we came in with a whole bunch of posters, and we were super obnoxious. Like Alexis said, the women's basketball and volleyball are super tight. We're kind of the girls that hold down the jar for sure, because boys try to take it over, even though they're only one team.
100%.
The tennis girls also share a training room with us, and I see them all the time. I have a lot of friends on the tennis team as well. So the tennis courts are right by my house, and we'll go out there and cheer them on and stuff. Tennis is pretty intense, pretty cool to watch, something that I never really got into, like playing-wise, but I definitely enjoy watching it. And I've been to a swimming meet, so that was awesome too.
All right, well, this feels like a good point to, again, with like about 4 minutes left, to sort of wrap things up, and sort of along the same concept, talking about just, you guys supporting each other as athletes and that community. Just how valuable is that to you guys, just in terms of the entire athletic community, Akron, to know, like, you have the support of the other sports on campus and the other athletes on campus. Just how valuable of a thing is that to see and be a part of at a university like Akron?
I think it's kind of cool, the fact that like, there's people that you never met before that are still supporting you just because, like, coming to the games and just screaming, doing whatever. I feel that, it kind of shows, the kind of like atmosphere that it is here. I mean, it's not the biggest place in the world, but like, you see the people are trying to make the best of like what's happening and what's going on around here. So I feel that like is a step in the right direction, to like make the university a great one.
I think for me, it kind of shows that people care. I mean, I think I've mentioned a few times, like, I have a lot of friends from a lot of different sports, and when they show up to the games, I mean, it's just like, oh, you guys like actually care, like, we're cool. But I mean, I just think it means a lot when people actually take time out of their day, out of their own busy training schedules for their own sports, and show up and stuff. It just means a lot, I think.
Well, actually, when I sent my video in for the Zippy banquet, that was something that I really touched on, was the athletic culture here. It's the best, and it's definitely made my experience at Akron just the best that it possibly could be. I love the athletes. We pretty much only hang out with athletes. They're on the same schedule. I like living around athletes. I like being able to see everyone excel in their own way with their own special talents, and it's just I wouldn't change it for the world. I love the athletic culture here at Akron.
Well, guys, I appreciate you all coming on for another episode of ZipsCast. Have a great rest of your week. Have a great weekend. And Zips rise together. And as always, go Zips.
Go Zips.